Hello, Brittany. We have had the fortune of working together on some of the issues you have been experiencing, specifically bulimia, and you've had a really good outcome. Before we jump into the guts of it, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
I'm Dr. Brittany Barreto, and I'm a geneticist, a serial entrepreneur, an investor, but I'm also a survivor of childhood trauma. And I am a millennial who has a lot of college student loan debt and has never had a mortgage. I'm sensitive woman who feels deeply and has used achievement as a way to self-soothe and obtain love and approval from others.
Where did the bulimia start? What was your life like living with that condition?
My first diet was at 9 years old. I felt like I was overweight. I had an abusive father. I had a mom who was working multiple jobs to make ends meet and was being abused by her husband. And I had a chronically ill little sister. My role in the family was to just be good, be perfect, be convenient, abide by the rules, don't take up space. And I look back and I see the dieting was part of my taking back some control in a really chaotic household. My entire family was overweight, and I thought I'm expected to be the skinny one because that's what they call me. I had gained weight when I was in high school. I was a foreign exchange student. I lived in France, so I ate a lot of cheese and croissants, and it's expected that you gain some weight. And I had a phone call with my family, and one of the main things that they brought up was, I heard you're fat now. And I just pulled that in so deeply. This is unacceptable. And that's actually where the bulimia started. In France, I felt like the food was too good to restrict. And so I decided to go the other way, which was overindulge and then punish myself for it. It was almost a ceremony. And that's actually a word that you brought up in our session that has really stuck with me, that I made ceremony out of my hurting myself. I would do things like punch myself in the stomach first and purged in places like airports and gas station bathrooms. So there was these like rituals of hurting myself, and it continued for many years. The last 8 years, I was still struggling with a few parts, and this is where you come in. I know I have a sensitivity to gluten, and yet I continue to eat gluten to the point that it's borderline self-harm because I know that pizza hurts my stomach, and yet I'm still eating it in this compulsive way, right? And also, I know I should be present with my meals. I should sit down and honor my food. And yet, I could not eat without watching something digital, whether that be TV, a YouTube video.
What was the most eh, shining discovery that you had, and what was the most impactful for you?
Some of the most powerful messages that I revealed through your facilitation was that I had such a deep-seated fear of being inconvenient. I had this role of being convenient as a little girl because everyone else needed a lot of space and attention, and I shouldn't have any. And so, being someone with a dietary restriction, such as gluten-free, I put that in the category of being an inconvenient person. And it's so interesting because my sister is very allergic to shellfish and peanuts. And there was a lot of attention on that. And so I'm allowed to be gluten free. I can say that today really confidently. 8 weeks ago, when we worked together, I was really struggling. I was like, I don't want to be someone who's gluten free. And it's not a matter of want, it's biology. Like, you are sick on it. And there was this friction, there was this barrier. I couldn't accept I am someone with a dietary restriction because, and this was the facilitation, because I saw that as something as inconvenient, space taking, and unlovable. It's unlovable to have a need. Be perfect and needless.
I think we discovered there was a conflict. On one hand, it was you're not allowed to be inconvenient. It was what your belief was. On the other hand, you wanted desperately to have love from your mom, some male figure in your life. And actually, at the same time, you were holding on to that limitation. And there was a conflict in your mind and in your heart between wanting to get rid of it and yet wanting to hold on to it.
Yep.
And we
Yeah.
were able to unravel that.
That to the point, and I have a personal trainer. He and I check in every week. A month after we work together, he said, and you thought you were inconvenient. And Julia, it is wild because he said that, and I almost was confused. I was like, what do you mean inconvenient? And I thought, oh my God, Literally a month ago, that was my biggest thing. I didn't want to be inconvenient. It was almost like I had forgotten that core belief was running my life. Obviously, I'm not inconvenient. 1 month ago, that's all I could talk about. It was like this jump to why would I even think that? In a month, I can forget what was blocking me. That's insane. That's wild.
One of the other things that I have thought about as I was talking to you and putting this session together for you was around the ceremony part, because you have created this ceremony about purging food. I thought making food fun, making a fun ceremony out of it was going to be the way to go with you. And so could you comment a little bit on that?
How I ate before was typically microwaved meals that I would sit in front of my computer working and eating, or watching something and eating. And so I was not present to the smell, to the texture, to the color, to the taste. And since our session, I have not once watched media while eating. It wasn't like I even had a choice prior to us working together. I had to distract myself in order to eat.
When you sit down and eat a meal, what does it look like now?
I just moved into a new house, and the first room that I set up was my dining room. And I bought this beautiful country table. I bought beautiful placemats. I bought comfortable, beautiful reupholstered chairs. I have this beautiful tapestry behind it. And now I'm cooking. By the way, I don't even own a microwave in this house. So I have to bake it. It has to be at least 30 minutes. It's sitting in the oven. I can smell it in the house. I have to put oven mitts on and take it out. I put it on plates. And then the other thing that I used to do that I'm no longer doing, which is when I took the last bite, I would immediately take my plate up while I'm still chewing the last bite. And I would take the plate to the sink to wrap it up. I'm done. I got to get this away from me. And now I'm in taking the last bite, and physically my body does do a little jerk motion, like I'm going to get up. And then I'm like, oh, wait, you're not in a rush. You finish that bite. Finish it. This has been years of me being like, I need to be gluten free. I need to stop watching TV. I need to sit during my last bite. And I knew it, and I journaled, and these were just, I was like, this is deeper than me. And then our session together, I was open minded. I was committed to it. I got to be honest, I was like, I don't know if these things are going to change. Like I said, this whole business started when I was 9, right? And yet I have been so successful. One of my fears was announcing to people that I had a dietary restriction. I was nervous to go to a party and tell the host, oh, I'm actually gluten free. There was something that I didn't want to stand out. I didn't want to be different. I didn't want to be inconvenient. And after we had our session, 2 weeks later, I went to a game night with some friends, and I showed up and I said, I'm gluten free. And she didn't know it. There's another gluten-free person. So boom, I made a friend. But secondly, somebody there owns a gluten-free restaurant, and he was like, oh, honey, here's what's gluten-free for you. And then we had a Halloween party. He actually brought me my own dish. And so it was almost like as soon as I showed up for myself, the universe, I felt like, provided what I needed as well. I'm not inconvenient at all. I'm totally just part of.
That's such a beautiful story. Once you're not afraid to show up for yourself, that's the energy that you project. You're like, I am confident and I'm proud, whatever I am, however I am, that's me.
And the people responding to that is who I want to engage with, right?
Yeah, people feel your strength in that, and people are fundamentally attracted to that. First of all, they're grateful that you're showing up for yourself, because that's already like a gift to them that somebody's doing that. That's an example, that's an inspiration. And then they think, oh, I can help. And people love to be a good Samaritan. They love to give. And so that's how it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
We talked about it, that I was in an abusive relationship and I just started to date again. I feel ready. And one of my things was I'm nervous to go out and date and say I'm gluten free. Like, I know it's illogical, and yet this is ran my life, right? And so somewhere in me, I felt I won't find a partner if I'm gluten free, because they'll think that's something like bothersome to them, and that they don't want to deal with someone who's gluten free. This has been my mind. And now I'm dating and I'm openly saying, oh, by the way, I'm gluten free. And so far, by the way, nobody has been like, oh, that's really inconvenient. So
and more than that, you are making them feel like you trust them with your vulnerability, with your essence. And that makes them feel good that they are the ones to make you open up to that.
Yeah.
You know, they feel special when you are being true to yourself, having a good time with them. And so how is the business? What are you doing right now to make all this money that's so aligned with your identity?
It's funny because it's like I'm doing kind of the same stuff I was doing. I'm doing consulting. It's just because I'm showing up so strongly, so presently, so authentically that people are
Yeah.
giving me business. And it's like literally energy. There's something that's changing as I focus on me, money's coming in my door. I'm making more money than I ever have, and it's just me. That's the other thing. It's just me. There was always this perception that I need to build this big company with all these people and all these services and products, and I need to fundraise capital.
Mm.
And it was like, oh, wait, what if I'm just an N of one? I'm just Dr. Brittany Barreto, LLC, and people hire me, just me. I'm making tenfold more money than I have my entire
And you
life.
have all this time to spend on yourself and you feel totally in control. That
Wild.
perfectionism that you were talking about, being a good student, being thin, upkeeping the image, not telling family secrets, comes from not feeling like you the way you are enough and
Yeah.
not. And so you keep climbing. What if I do one more thing and one more thing and become thinner and get better grades and not tell anybody about this dark family secret? And when you're building a startup, one more thing, and then we're going to be there. But you're not going to be ever
Never.
there because
Ever.
there is inside of you. It's a
Mhm.
never ending ladder.
That's right.
Yeah. And you did such a beautiful job. And that's what I kind of try to help people realize how powerful we all are in creating the visions of life that we want to be in, bringing it to the present. And
Yeah.
when you bring it to the present, it becomes your reality in the now.
I needed that session with you for the food stuff. I think our session worked so powerfully for me in one session because I came so openly and honest to it. And you dug into the crevices of my brain and brought out things that I said, oh, heck, I didn't think that memory was important at all. And I certainly didn't think it had anything to do with not eating gluten. And yet here we are. Here we are. We're going on 2 months
Month.
now. I have 100% not watched anything digital while eating. I have been present to every meal I've eaten since our session 60 days ago.
Could you tell me a little bit about what role the audio played in the whole sequence and how was your experience of transformation changing throughout listening to the audio, if at all?
It was absolutely incredible. I felt a change in my eating pattern the very next day, right? The homework audio made the session feel like it lasted a month long. And so I feel like it
Mhm.
elongated the benefits and really drove them in. The audio was so powerful. I still listen to it probably 3 nights a week just because it is so beautiful, it is so powerful. You are like a poet with the words that you used in it. The
Mm.
affirmations that you said in it were some of the most powerful affirmations I've ever heard of. Some of the experiences I had while listening to it was tingling in my stomach. There are some nerve endings in my gut that are hearing what she's saying about me deserving beautiful, healthy food. And I could literally feel, and I was like, yeah, all right. I found myself repeating things sometimes. So it's interesting. After I heard it a few times, I expected a few of the things that I knew you were coming up to say, and you'd say something. And it's so funny because I can't even recall it in my conscious self. But when I lay down and listen to it, you say, I am worthy. And there's this little pause, and you don't say to do this in it. But for some reason, I lay there and I say, I am worthy. And I'm like,
Mm.
okay, just
Oh,
go
that's
with it.
beautiful.
Like I repeat you and some of the things. There's something by the 15th time I listen to it, I smile. Like I naturally smile when I hear it. It's like this mother, whatever mother represents, this like this loving, soft sound. Um, and yet you're also commanding. So when
Mm.
you are bringing me down into the hypnosis, and you go down, you're on the stairwell and you're on step 3 and you go deeper, 1,000 times deeper, Brittany. And I feel so commanded. I'm like, okay, I'm going. I trust you. She's in control. And so yeah, I loved it. I felt the difference after one session. And I said, heck, if I feel this after one session and she says to listen to this for 21 days and this could potentially be 21 times even better, stronger, I'm doing it.
I wanted to ask you one last question. If somebody was on the fence about working with me, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that they are worth feeling better. I knew regardless of how much I journal, how much I meditate, how much I self-love, this is still an issue for me. And so I gifted myself the ability of transformation. And I will say that I am 100% a positive testimony that my life has transformed based. I forgot that is how I felt a month ago. We focused in our session about the gluten and being inconvenient, and it's so much more than that. As we unpacked gluten, I realized I don't ask for help in my job. I don't ask for help for this or that because I don't want to be inconvenient. Yes, I came to you with the gluten issue, but this core belief actually affects all these other things as well, right?
Exactly. I work with you on gluten and bulimia because
Yeah.
that's the biggest anchor for
Yeah.
you, because that's what you tell me you want to work on.
Yeah.
Then I know it is the biggest problem that you're focusing on. And that means it's going to be the best way in to unravel the rest of the problems. And so I'm not surprised that the rest of your life is being affected, and it's going to be more and more affected as you keep bringing yourself forward.
Yeah, I'm so grateful. 100%. You've changed my life.